Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to start a new surah, which is Suratun Nas, chapter of the people or of the mankind. So let's start. على بركة الله تعالى. An-Nas is an Arabic noun that means the people or the mankind. But the word people is preferred as a translation of nas more than mankind. Nas, people, is the plural of the word insan, a person. This surah starts by قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the people. Its beginning is the same as the beginning of the previous surah, Suratul Falaq. The only difference is that Allah Ta'ala changes the last word of the ayah. So instead of Rabbil Falaq, the Lord of the daybreak, he says Rabbin Nas, the Lord of the people. So Allah Ta'ala ordered the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all the Muslims to seek refuge in him because he is the Lord of all the people. As I explained before, the word Rabb means Lord. But why did Allah Ta'ala use the term Rabb when he orders us to seek refuge in him? This term holds a lot of meanings. When we say about Allah Ta'ala that He is Ar-Rabb, it means He is the Master, the Lord, the Planner, and the Educator. So when we seek refuge in Him, that's because He educates us how to seek refuge in Him. Next verse. Malikin Nas, the sovereign of the people, is another description of the one whom we must seek refuge in. Malik is the same as Maliki Yawmiddin, the sovereign of the day of recompense, in Suratul Fatiha. So, Malik is the king or the sovereign, and the verb that's derived from it is Meluka, which means to reign. Pay attention. It is different from the verb meleka, which means to possess or to own. The last description that Allah Ta'ala describes himself is Ilahin Nas, the God of the people. The word Ilah means God, so the word Ilah is different from the word Allah. The word Allah is the proper name of the God that we worship, but the word Ilah is a common name. To make it simple, take this famous phrase, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. The root letters of the word Ilah are Alif with Hamza, Lam, and Ha. And the verb coming from those root letters is Alaha, which means to make someone or somebody as God. So, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ is, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the people, the sovereign of the people, the God of the people. Notice that in Arabic, there is no such word like of in English, such in the previous ayat. Translating them word by word is, say, I seek refuge in Lord the people, sovereign the people, God the people. So, if you want to say something like the teacher of the school in Arabic, you put the word teacher in an indefinite form. I mean without L in the first. So it is mudiru. And you put the word school in a definite form. And in a genitive case, I mean with L in its first and with kasra in its end. And it is al-madrasati. So the teacher of the school is mudirul madrasati. In our verses, we have also the same case. Rabb is indefinite and الناسي is definite and with كسرة in its end. ملك is indefinite and الناسي is definite with كسرة in its end. إله is indefinite and الناسي is definite and with كسرة in its end. And that's how we integrate of in Arabic. In the previous verses, Allah Ta'ala ordered the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all the Muslims to seek refuge in him. And he, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, gave descriptions to himself. So he said, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ, which means, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the people, the sovereign of the people, the God of the people. In today's verse, Allah Ta'ala tells us from what we have to seek refuge in Him. And then He said, Min sharril waswasil khannas, from the evil of the whisperer who withdraws. And let's explain it word by word. The first part of the verse, min sharri, we already explained in the previous surah. It means from the evil of. The next word is al-waswas. After removing al in its first remains waswas. It literally means devilish insinuation, or the one who's whispering bad things to people. It's ash-shaytan, right? The devil. That's why Allah Ta'ala added al, the definite article, in its beginning, because everyone knows who's whispering bad things to people. So, al-waswas here means ash-shaytan, who whispers or tempts with a wicked suggestion. What are the root letters of this word? They are waw, sin, waw, and sin. Oh, so they are 4 letters and not just 3. This is the first time we encounter such a word. I mean a word that its original root letters are 4 and not just 3. The verb that comes from these root letters is waswasa, to prompt or tempt with a wicked suggestion. And it is a quadrilateral verb and not trilateral. There are not many quadrilateral verbs such as waswasa, but they still exist, like zelzela, to cause violent movements, and lajlaja, to stammer or falter in speech, or kebekeba, which means to capsize or turn upside down. The final word is al-khannas, the withdrawer. Removing al in the first remains khannas. The root letters of this word are kha, noon, and sin, and the verb corresponding to these root letters is khanasa. It is a trilateral verb which means to withdraw after being defeated or when faced with danger. The active participle from the verb khanasa is khanis, and it is the one who withdraws after being defeated. To make this active participle more intense, we change a little bit its components. So instead of khanis, it will be khannas. This last word has the same meaning as khanis, but with more power and intensity. We saw a similar example before in the verse of وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, with the active participle nafith and its intense version nafath. And we gave examples like ghafir and ghaffar, also kadhib and kadhab. So why Allah Ta'ala gives ash-shaytan this epithet? That's because ash-shaytan, the devil, always withdraws when the name of Allah Ta'ala is mentioned. And that happens usually when we seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala by saying أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So, من شر الوسواس الخناس is from the evil of the whisperer who withdraws. In today's verses, Allah Ta'ala tells us more characteristics about this whisperer who withdraws. And then he said, الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. The one who whispers in the breasts of people from among jinn and humankind. And let's also explain it word by word. The first word, الذي, is a relative pronoun. Its role is to relate two sentences or clauses between each other. And I made a table gathering all the relative pronouns in Arabic while explaining the verse صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. I'll leave you with the table for a while. The two sentences that الذي relates between them are the previous ayah من شر الوسواس الخناس and today's ayah يوسوس في صدور الناس. So this الوسواس الخناس, the whisperer who withdraws, is the one who whispers in the breasts of people. يوسوس في صدور الناس. So, الذي means the one whom. And based on the previous table, it is for singular masculine because the word waswas is singular and masculine. The next word is يوسوس, and it is the verb وسوس in the present tense, المضارع. In the last episode, we said that the verb وسوس, to prompt or tempt with a wicked suggestion, is a quadrilateral verb, a verb that its root letters are 4 and not 3, and they are واو, سين, واو, and سين. This verb is conjugated in the present tense in the subject pronoun he, which indicates that the devil, الشيطان, tries to whisper bad things to people over and over again. And when you seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala, the devil يخنس, or he withdraws at this moment, but returns again and again. And we should always seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala whenever the devil tries to whisper to us. Fi is a genitive particle which means in, or inside, or into. And we already saw it while explaining the verse of وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. Automatically, a genitive noun should come after this genitive particle. I mean a noun which ends with كسرة, and this noun is صدوري, the breasts. صدور is the plural of the noun صدر, a breast, and it is in this form. So any singular noun in Arabic in this form, we can make it plural by using this form. Examples are حرب is a singular noun that means a war, and its plural is حروب. So صدور is breasts. Breasts of whom? Of people. But because the Arabic language doesn't have a corresponding word of, so we delete the L from the first noun, and we add it to the second noun, and we make it genitive. We make it end with كسرة. So, breasts of the people is صدور الناس. We deleted L from صدور, and we added it to nas, and we put كسرة in its end. So, الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس is the one who whispers in the breasts of people. Why exactly the breasts of the people? because their hearts exist in there. As Allah Ta'ala said in chapter 22, verse 46. فإنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور. Verily, it is not the eyes that grow blind, but it is the hearts which are in the breasts that grow blind. The last ayah is min al-jinnati wan-nas, from among jinn and humankind. And it means that there are people from jinn and from humankind whom also whispers bad things to other people. It means there exists devils between jinn and also between humankind. And that's what Allah Ta'ala said in chapter 6, verse 112. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. And thus we have made for every prophet an enemy, devils of humankind and jinn, who inspire in one another plausible discourse through guile.